Evening, evening, freight broker guys, freight broker friends, channel subscribers. Thank you for coming in. It's been a while since we did this, right? Uh, get your attention here for some Q&A. Welcome to 2024 on the live. For those of you who have questions and are curious about um, being a freight broker, I'm in my home office right now. Welcome. Give you guys a chance to come in. For those of you who are coming in late, I know it's kind of late. 2024. Howdy. Hello. We have one person in so far, which is fine. That is perfectly okay. Let's do some free training, some Q&A. If you have any questions, you are in the transportation industry, you want to know the current state of the market, how things are going, how's the freight moving. We've partnered with a freight brokerage buddy of mine who's had a broker authority for a year, so you'll be able to get to see more realistic freight broker training for the upcoming year 2024. So, okay. Let's see. Kay Jones, I've been looking at your videos for years. Very interested in starting, and I am in Norfolk. Oh, great. You can come by our Logistics Learning Center as soon as tomorrow if you want. Let me put the address in there if you're interested. 3101. What's your first name, Kay Jones? Ken. Okay. Well, that's the address right there. And you're saying you want the freight broker training, right? You want the freight broker training to come in to our Exodus Logistics Learning Center. Now, we do offer 90-day online training. I'm sorry, not 90, 30-day or a week-long 90-day online training, correct? Let me start over. We do offer 90-day online training, which is self-paced. We offer a week-long in-person training at our Exodus Logistics Learning Center, which I just put the address in to. That's more high level. The 90-day training will be more spread out. You're looking into being a carrier or a freight broker starting out. So you're looking to get your carrier authority or your broker authority. Which one are you leaning towards? Because both of them require some money, some overhead, some upfront costs and things like that. So let's talk about that for a second. Which way are you looking to go? Are you trying to drive trucks over the road, or are you trying to send trucks over the road and get paid for that? Are you trying to arrange for the transportation as a freight broker, or are you trying to transport the freight as a motor carrier? Carry because I need more capital for a truck. So you're trying to get started as a motor carrier. What kind of truck are you trying to do? Box truck, tractor trailer, drive-in, flatbed, reefer. So you're in Norfolk, so I would assume drive-ins and maybe flatbeds. So, box truck non-CDL. Box truck non-CDL. Then you're looking at perhaps the Amazon Relay, maybe some direct shippers locally running for them. Couple of last mile expedited type of things like that. Okay, you could are you willing to go over the road with your box truck? Yes. Over the road, CDL, MCDOT. Yes, you need for a commercial driver's license you need to have an operating authority to transport freight over the road. because that's interstate commerce. That's interstate. You're transporting freight interstate. DOT, you can run short, like 150 miles or less, or within the state confines, like, for example, Virginia. Um, will you have time to come see me tomorrow or see me this week at the Exodus Logistics Learning Center, Ken? I would be more than happy to talk to you in person. Sit down and discuss strategies and things like that. Problem next week. Okay, probably next week. Okay. Um, just reach out to me. You got my, hopefully you got my information, but I'll put it here. Um, there and email there. So this is a freight. This channel right here, this YouTube channel that we're live streaming, is a freight broker 101 training for beginners. So, are there any freight broker questions that you guys may have? Starting a brokerage, what's the difference? Anything like that I can come in. I got a little time to answer some questions about a freight broker. Someone, what is a good surety bond company? Great question. We have one called International Sureties. Okay, you can look them up on Google, things like that. The lady's name that I last known, her name is Jessica Palmieri. She's in our website. She is a resource, and she's been known to assist individuals just starting off with their freight brokerages in procuring their surety bond. Because as you know, as a freight broker, you need a $75,000 surety bond to that's a requirement as a freight broker. They are based off of credit. Are they based on credit or trust based? They are. So that's a great question. I'm glad you said it like that. Credit or trust based. So surety bonds, I'll put it in the chat. Surety bonds are credit based, and that's the form for that when you file, or when the bond company files with the FMCSA, saying that you, the applicant who's filing for their authority, broker authority, have met the bond requirement. The form is the BMC 84. Okay, so the surety bonds are credit based, and the trust funds, which is another bond type, are obviously trust based, right? And that is the BMC 85. Okay, so those are the bond requirements there. So the trust fund says that you happen to have $75,000 laying around in escrow that you can afford to put away, either with a lawyer or an escrow account, and you just put it off to the side to meet your annual bond requirement of $75,000. That is the BMC 85. The 84, to meet your bond requirement, it is based off of your personal credit. The better your credit score, the lower your annual premium will be to cover the $75,000 requirement. It's almost like insurance, right? So if you got a 750, 800 credit score, your bond premium may be low as low as $750. Yes, that is yearly. It is you pay it one time annually, and you renew it to keep your authority active. You renew the bond requirement annually, okay, once a year to keep your bond requirement active, okay. So that is true. So most new freight brokers who just start their companies, they want to keep their overhead low. So they go the credit route as opposed to pouring all of this income into an escrow account, $75,000. Why not keep that cash and use it for other expenses and go the credit route and just leverage your credit to have a lower premium payment, and then use all the other monies to pay for other things, load boards, other expenses that you need getting your brokerage started. Is that prorated when you come in the middle of the year? I think it's whatever date you sign up for it. That is your year term when it starts. Whenever you start, a year later is your requirement again. Okay. For those of you who are here, if you don't mind, click the thumbs up, um, for this channel, please. So yes, that is a requirement. Your bond requirement comes after you apply for your broker license or broker authority, right? You go to the FMCSA, which is the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration's website, and you apply for the OP1 form, which is the application for a motor carrier and broker authority. Pay the $300 fee, and then you start the process of meeting the other requirements for the other companies, filing their respective forms to the FMCSA saying, hey, this applicant has met our requirement for this particular part. For example, the bond, the designation of a process agent, the UCR, the BOC3, which is the designation of process agent, BOC3. UCR is the Uniform Carrier Registration, Unified Carrier Registration, I'm sorry. And then if you have any extra supplemental insurance, like contingent cargo or errors and omissions, most new brokers will want to carry some contingent cargo or errors and omissions for their brokerage, because coming in new, sometimes you have the tendency to make some mistakes, errors and omissions. Or contingent cargo, you have a tendency to want to have extra coverage on top of what the carriers, the truck drivers that you're going to be onboarding to your freight brokerage has for their cargo requirement. Okay. So, and contingent cargo can be 100,000, 200,000, 250,000, whatever you can afford. All right. So, what happens after you get all of your requirements met, right? And your broker authority becomes active? What do? Well, have you prepared while your documents, or while your authority was being processed and becoming active? What are some other things you could be doing, right? You can be preparing your documents for your shippers, your documents for your carriers. What are agents you need across different states for your application? I'm not sure I'm understanding the question, Ken. What are agents you need across different states for your application? Are you talking about the process agents or the freight broker agents? If you're talking about the process agents, the designation of the process agents, every process if you're talking about that, the process companies, the process server companies, have agent representatives in all 50 states. So it's just a matter of you choosing which process agent company having the better rate, right? The better, and they're usually about $75 to $100 for a process server or process agent company designating as a process agent representing you or your brokerage. And then whatever states you have customers in, and then there's issues or claims, that state's or that shipper's representative process agent in that state will make sure that you get or are gotten in contact with in your domicile state where your brokerage is set up, and communicate what they need to communicate there. Okay. Those of you who are in here, check the thumbs up if you have not, please, for the content that we're presenting for you. Give us a thumbs up if you don't mind. So, what will you do after your broker license or your broker authority has become active, right? You are now an active freight broker. How are you going to, what are you going to do? Because as a broker, you are arranging to transport or you are arranging for the transportation of freight. You are the logistics provider. You are someone who is in the middle between the shipper and the authorized motor carrier. How are you going to fuse that relationship and make your margins or make your profit margins in the process? What are the steps involved in that? How do you tender a load? Right? These are the beginning steps after your freight brokerage has become active. Even during the process of your freight brokerage becoming active, you should be preparing on the back end on the administrative side your your broker shipper packet, which contains various required documents, minimal required documents, as well as your broker carrier packet, which also contains minimal documents, right? So you need to know, well, what are those documents? What do I need? The most efficient documents, effective documents I need to communicate with the shippers and communicate with the motor carriers in order for us to have a relationship from a broker's perspective. Remember, you have two customers. You have the shippers, the customers, the ones who are providing um, the monies, the tenders, so you can move their freight to their customers. And then you have the authorized motor carriers who are transporting the freight that you are selling to them from the shippers for your profit. That's what a freight broker does. You are just transferring information back and forth and to make sure that goods are transported safely, securely, on time pickup, OTP, on time delivery, OTD, and everything that's in between. Okay. What about a TMS system, transportation management software? What about a load board? Different load boards, DAT, any version of the DAT series, any versions of the truck stop series, 1, 2, 3 load boards. What are the purposes of the load boards from a freight broker's perspective? How do you navigate? What is the user experience? What's the functionality of the load boards? Understanding how to use that as a freight broker, right? What about onboarding? RMIS, Registered Monitoring Insurance Service. That's one form. Assure Assist. That's another onboarding. My Carrier Packet. That's another onboarding software that you can integrate into your freight brokerage in order to streamline and make your workflow and process of brokering or arranging arranging for transportation of freight a little more efficient, right? So onboarding. What about vetting the carriers? Carrier vetting, carrier qualifying, carrier monitoring, Safer Watch. That's a good example of that. Safer Watch is a good one. You know, the Safer website, things of that nature. So these are things, if you are deciding to become a freight broker, that you need to consider, right? With the TMS system, how you're going to track. Uh, what about GPS software, Forekites, MacroPoint, different softwares you want to consider? What's your budget when it all involves these different things? Here's where that other cash flow comes into play when you were deciding to get your bond, right? You put it all in a trust fund, the $75,000 upfront cash, as opposed to leveraging credit and paying a small minimum annual premium for the year of that $75,000 coverage, and then keeping the cash flow in your account so you can cover expenses to get your freight brokerage started from the ground up. And of course, as a new business, you want to keep your overhead as low as possible within your budget. What is your budget? What is your number that you've designated for yourself? And everyone's number is different of their overhead expenses. What all do I need to get started? Everything that I named should at least be considered to start for a brokerage. Every broker needs a load board, right? Every brokerage needs a load board. If you're going to quote lanes for a shipper or bid lanes for a shipper, you need a load board to compare the market, the spot market, to in that particular lane of that shipper who's giving you a bid or a quote. in order to give a fair margin on top of that lane, right? And load boards are good for that, right? Load boards are also good for finding trucks, posting trucks, finding loads, searching loads, right? Posting loads, right? Um, and rates, market rates, all different features and analytics on the load board. So TMS systems, transportation management software. You need to keep track of your customers or shippers. You need to keep track. You need to keep track of your assets. If you are an asset-based freight brokerage, if you have a trucking side with your brokerage, you are asset-based. If you're non-asset-based, either way, a transportation management software is kind of like an integrated customer relationship management platform (CRM), as well as a content management platform (CMS), kind of fused together, married the two. So it deals with shippers, customers, building loads, creating BOLs, rate confirmations, invoices. You bring the shippers give you tenders, whether through an integrated electronic process called EDI, or you get it in an email and you manually enter the data into the TMS system to build a load and create a rate confirmation for your carrier. Okay. So carriers do not see the load tender rate from the shipper. They see the rate confirmation rate from you, the broker, with your difference off of that tender, your margin, if you will. Okay. So those little um, idiosyncrasies in that process as well, you need to understand that as well, right? It keeps track of the carriers you have, the onboarded carriers, whether they're asset based or whether they're carriers in your network that you've vetted and onboarded to your brokerage. Speaking of which, what is your vetting process, right? How do you vet carriers? How do you qualify carriers, right, for your brokerage? You want to make sure that you find the most um, effective and efficient carriers and qualify them for your brokerage so that they run the loads very well for your customers, right? Because you want to keep your customers, and the best way to keep customers are having good carriers who transport the loads or the cargo or the freight or the commodities of your customers to their customers on time pickup, on time delivery. So these are some things you got to consider. Now, does the shipper pay on delivery, or is it a monthly deposit, or does it vary? It varies. So shippers will give you here's a workflow, a minuscule sample. You get a tender from a shipper, right? A low requirements, um, and it's a rate for $5,000. You create a rate confirmation for uh, $4,000. You take 20% off the top. So when the carrier delivers that load that you've onboarded and approved for that particular tender through the rate confirmation on the carrier side, you're going to invoice your customer, your shipper, either directly yourself or through your factoring company if you have one as a broker. And the shipper is going to pay that either to the factoring company or directly to you according to their net terms. If you're dealing with a factoring company, you'll get your money sooner. You would have already gotten some upfront money with a factoring company, because you want to keep your carriers happy by paying them as soon as possible. Most brokers may offer what's called quick pay, um, that pays 24 to 48 hours after delivery and turning in of the POD and all the invoice and paperwork. So, okay. United Drivers Help. Carlo Walker waving ahead. Flower. Hey, Carlo. Carlo's a good friend. Very knowledgeable. So, all right. Just on here for a minute. Giving some content, some information. Carlo is real big down in Flowery Branch, the Atlanta area, suburb area, metropolitan area, Georgia. I need to get down there, as a matter of fact. So, but that's how the shippers have net payment terms. If you are a broker, in most cases, brokers are going to be working with a factoring company that provides them the upfront capital to keep them running, and they'll deal with the shippers' net terms on the back end. But they qualify the shippers as well: credit applications, shipper credit checks, carrier credit check, broker carrier check. Some load boards provide, particularly Truck Stop provides um, shipper qualifying credit checks and things like that, because not every shipper is a good shipper. So you have to be mindful of that. So you want to protect your interests as a broker, right? Whether you may think a shipper is good, but once you get into the meat and potatoes of dealing with the shipper, you may see some things that you think that's not beneficial for your brokerage. So you want to you want to put systems in place and safeguards in place as you are progressing through your brokerage, building it, right? Experience after experience after experience, and learning from those experiences. So, startup costs of what? Freight brokerage, Ken? Startup costs of freight brokers. Great question. Well, the application for the authority is 300, right? Then you have to factor in the cost of your bond. Let's say you got good credit. So your bond is your annual premium will be anywhere between 750, 800 to, let's say, $1,000. Let's say it's $1,000. So 300 for the application, 1,000 for the bond. Then you got your UCR and BOC3. Let's say those are 100 each. They're less, but 100 each. So you add that up. So that's 1,300. That's 1,500, 200 more. Cost of some of these are one-time payments. Some of these are monthly payments. Like a low board, you're going to pay that monthly. Uh, TMS systems, extra software you may need, some QuickBooks or whatever you may need, right? If you got between 5 and 10 grand liquid capital, that's a good start to get started. Now, it's not going to be enough to keep you running. You're going to have to leverage as far as cash flow, factoring, transportation invoice factoring, where the factoring companies purchase the invoices or the PODs of the delivered goods by the carriers, and they'll leverage those PODs to the customers in order to get paid. But in the meantime, they're going to front monies to you, the broker, at a rate percentage, right? That's how factoring companies work. If you think about it like one of those check cashing places, right? Or those payday loans. They used to call them payday loans, right? You go borrow money against your check coming in 2 weeks later. You'll borrow, let's say, $500, and they say, "Well, I get paid in 2 weeks. I'll give you the $500 back plus whatever interest you charge." And they charge astronomical rates, right? 1,000%, whatever, right? So, but that's yeah. So yeah, but that's how it works. But the startup costs are for an industry that could potentially make you a multimillionaire. The startup costs for this, your overhead is kind of low, really, starting a business in this industry from initially. But as you scale and grow, you'll be adding things to your company. I think you should add and scale according to your affordability and according to the revenue that you bring in to afford to scale and add other things to help make more efficient your process and your brokerage. Okay. That's my opinion, right? Everyone has, you can feel how you're running your company. You can feel how it's working for you. Everybody's individually different, right? But some of the similarities, some of the common things that everyone needs, obviously, is you need to have an active authority. You need to meet that requirement. You want to have your back end infrastructure as far as your documentation and your processes and all the software and tools that you need to make your front end process work. You need to have the back end stuff in place, and you need to understand what that is, what they are, right? Load boards, TMS systems, things that you're going to need to run your brokerage correctly, right? Or efficient. I won't say correctly, but efficiently, right? And I'll be honest, you're going to bump your head a few times. Experience is the best teacher. You're going to learn from your mistakes. Mistakes are teaching tools only if you learn from them. If you don't learn from your mistakes, then they become challenges and obstacles and hurdles you have to overcome. But they are teaching tools, right? Learn from your mistakes, learn the lessons, and then move on. And don't repeat the same things that caused that mistake, right? Ask questions. If you had a bad experience with a shipper, ask them, well, what could we have done different to make this partnership work between us? What could we have done different? And then when you go to the next shipper, you would do what that previous shipper had suggested. Maybe you should have communicated better. Maybe you should have did this better, or whatever. Even if you don't land a shipper, get as much information from them. So when you go to the next shipper, you will have some leverage to be able to um, possibly get the next shipper, right? So you're not leaving. You may be leaving physically empty-handed, but indirectly you're leaving with some information. So you're not totally empty-handed. Okay, and that's how you should look at it. You may not have you may not have landed a shipper, but you've gotten some valuable information from them for the next potential customer. Okay, cold calls, emails, trade shows, visiting the local facilities and industrial parks, commercial areas, social media like LinkedIn. I have a LinkedIn Sales Navigator, a premium account that I've learned to utilize. I paid $900 for the year for it, and it's a very valuable tool. You can look up as granular as possible search criteria. Another resource that I'm learning to use better is e-carrier check with Nate and Jared over in Nebraska and Trevor. Okay, so that's a good resource. So you want to utilize the resources you have to make yourself better. All right. Any questions? No questions? All right. I think I put the website up. I will copy the link and paste again for you guys. Small chat group tonight, but that's okay. All right. All right, guys. I can be reached at the phone number that I put up earlier, but I'll put it up again. 757-515-1684. Exodus Logistics. I spelled it right. LLC at yahoo.com. So as far as our training is concerned, before I close, um, uh, Freight Broker 101, 101 training for beginners. We have a 90-day self-paced training with modules and quizzes in those modules. And then after 90 days, we have the opportunity to continue on a monthly basis, month to month, for however long you want to continue to stay having access to what you got in the 90 days for a particular price per month. Cancel anytime, stop anytime after 90 days. We're having a 20% off sale of the single member and the two member Freight Broker 101. You come in at 20% discount. The promo code is New Year 2024 for that. And we also offer payment options, payment plans. We have a merchant account now with Affirm. That's a popular merchant account where you can do payment plans. You have Klarna, Klarna. You have Afterpay, and then you have Affirm. We have gotten partnered with Affirm to offer payment options: 3 months payments, 6-month payments, a year payment. Some of them 0% interest, the others about 15%. So if you don't have the budget to afford the total price, with or without the discount for the 20% off, we offer another option of payment plans. So a way for you to get in an inexpensive way. So, is it in depth and does it guarantee you get your credentials? The only thing that I can guarantee you is if you apply what we teach you towards brokering, then yes, because we give you the steps. Now we don't do the work for you, right? We instruct you on how to do it, right? I hold your hand up until a point. I can't be there when you actually are doing your brokering, right? Because I'm a large platform. I can't be at every individual person's beck and call, but I can do an overall gloss over commonality type of training where everyone benefits if you apply the basic foundational steps, right? So that's what I can guarantee. I can guarantee if you, and this is in life, if you apply the steps in life that you need to apply in life, then you will be successful. So, but yes, our program, our 90-day course is online. It's virtual through our portal. We have 4 modules that we have quizzes in. We have forms and documents, tools and resource templates, quizzes, exams. You get a certificate. You get certificates after completing each module. Once you take the quiz per each module, and then you take an overall final for the 4 modules and get a certificate for that. And then you get a certificate for completing the whole program, right? And everything is automated at this point. We're digitizing everything according with our AI technology integrated into our website. So we're getting more advanced as well. So as the years go by and technology is moving, so are we. We're trying to keep pace with the AI, the artificial intelligence community, and making things automated, right? So all you got to do is come in, push buttons, and go from there. Okay. In addition to our 90-day, which is the most popular program, we have our week long in person where you meet me and my wife in person at our physical location in Virginia, the Exodus Logistics Learning Center. Now, if you can't be there physically in person, we can also include a live stream via Zoom. Now, the live stream via Zoom for that week long training will be half the price of the in person individuals who come physically in person. But the person will be physically in our conference room, and then we'll have a camcorder live streaming others on our monitor on the screen on our board in our conference room. Okay, so it'll be as if they are physically there, getting the same type of training, taking the same exams, getting the same certificates. Okay, so that's another option in our products menu under the freight broker training, our live in person training. Our next one will be February 19th through the 23rd, that Monday through Friday. On the freight broker side, that will be 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're interested in that, sign up for that. Otherwise, the most popular one again will be the actual self-paced, take your time, 90-day online ongoing training. That'll probably be the easiest one if you can't physically be there for the week-long training. Oh, by the way, too, the week-long training, since it's just a week, 5 days, Monday through Friday, it is just a high-level overview of brokering just to get you interested, deciding if you want to do it long term. Okay. The 90-day training, of course, surpasses that. Okay. And it gives you everything on a more granular, more specific foundational level. All right. So hopefully that helped you guys there. Also, too, if you take the week long training, whether it's virtual or in person, and you decide that you want to do the 90-day ongoing training, what you paid for the week long training, whether it's in person or virtual, we will deduct and use that apply it towards the 90-day training. We'll subtract it out of that cost. So it's not like you're paying full price for this one and that one. Okay. So, because we're not trying to take your money like that. We rather you learn, you know, we are a teaching platform. We are a consulting and education platform. So, okay. All right, guys. I think we've been here long enough. Hopefully, I've answered your questions. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you very much, Ken. Looking forward to hearing from you.